Hi all, welcome back. More Red Storm, Dark Blue Defection, Scenario 5, Dark Blue Defection. Well, yeah, I didn't come back last night because I was a bit down about that mistake that I've made that I really can't make a fix to now. Um, so yeah, it puts it puts a big question mark on this playthrough now. Really, I mean, you could you could argue a little that the combat could have affected the Warsaw Pact flight just as much as it could have affected our flight. Dodge flight is now disordered with an attack from another flight. Um, so I just need to let it go. There's nothing I can really do without completely reversing two or three videos, really, and starting again. So we'll just have to let it go and hopefully learn from that. Well, I'll at least now know that we can actually make the turns. I could possibly argue against the bot rules, and the fact that, well, to be honest, not really. I can't really, because it says there combat or dash throttle, whichever is needed to engage. Well, we can set combat or dash throttle and still select the speed between, between the one less than the combat throttle, or between the combat and dash throttle speeds. So I could have selected 4. So it kind of does allow for that, if it's allowing you to engage. So it kind of does cater for that. It doesn't really say. I think I was maybe saying at first that it doesn't say you should reduce the speed to 4 if your combat throws 5. Well, it kind of doesn't not say it, and maybe they've been able to achieve it by saying it at 4. So, okay, so just need to let it go and learn from that, I suppose. Right, some comments to talk about. John, obviously, he did say he had quite a lot of family stuff coming up, I think. So, I think he's slowly getting there. This is part 5, isn't it? Part 5, yeah. And this is what I'm recording This is part 10 I'm recording just now, and I've got 6, 7, 8 out there. So he's probably got a bit to catch up, but he did say he was busy with other life things. So his comments at the 5.5 minute mark, he said that someone could be you. It's when I'm talking about the fact that the bot rules for this game, could have a lot more to them. You could do a lot more with this, I think, to make it more detailed. Or I would make it more complex and whatever, but you can see things straight away that you could say, well, that could clearly say that the bot will do this instead of that or that. And I'm not sure that's something that I would tackle. Plus the fact you're going to have to make these decisions and know what. Probably know a lot more about flights and aircraft and how they operate and whatever. And I dare say John Brown's got much more knowledge of that than what I have. I think you would need some knowledge of that. But yeah, I suppose you could put ideas together. I mean, I suppose I could do something and maybe send it to John and see what he thought, and he could maybe say, well, that doesn't make sense because of this and whatever. But there's a lot of time involved in that, and I'd sooner be playing the game. But yeah, it did cross my mind about maybe looking at it and trying to. I think I would get heavily into it, and it would take up a lot of my time. So I've suggested maybe when I retire, but probably unlikely. It'd be great if somebody else did come along and do something like that, I think, with this game. But however, is the game unplayable? No. I mean, we're on the 5th scenario now. Oh, and this is the other thing. I may actually maybe send you a question about this, John, but maybe you can comment here if you like, about how different the actual main solo game is to it. Now, the main solo game obviously is going to take into consideration the non-combat actions. Now, I have heard talk, whether it might have been John Brown himself, say that or somebody, right, I may be quoting you wrong there, John, maybe you didn't. It was somebody talked about these not being the best, and not, again, this is maybe something that could be improved on. Now, I've never even read these because we're not, and obviously Howard's decided that these don't work. In fact, it might have even been Howard that felt that made the comment about these just not quite fitting right and not doing what, well, maybe not doing what he was wanting the bot to do. But anyway, these are obviously used in the main solo game, and there is. I want to say there's only two. I think is there only two scenarios? I may be getting that wrong. No, I think there's four. Is there not four? There's four solo scenarios. And John, you've obviously played these. I just wondered how they compared, and how, did you enjoy them? Were they as good as this? Were they better or not quite as good? You've got to obviously take into the account you must have done the planning and all that, and had to do all this yourself, and set out your way path and your waypoints, and all that, but yeah, I mean, obviously that's something else down the line, that when I eventually get through all these, and then we've got that Four Horsemen sort of campaign scenario, whatever it is. I've not really studied that. That I might down the line look at the main solo game and see how that pans out as well. So yeah, like I say, I'm enjoying this, and it doesn't need to be changed. I just think it could. I think it could, and the bot could be not so much more challenging, but just more detailed in what it does. Anyway, I've spoken about that a few times, but yeah, maybe one day, John. Maybe one day. Right at the 9-minute and 15-second mark, yeah, it comes up with a good one here, which I never thought about. Now, I was talking about whereas I can put markers on the cards here. You can see the MiG-25's got its medium altitude marker and max turn marker, because there's only one flight of MiG-25s. However, for the fish bed, the MiG-21s, there's 3 flights, and the same for our F4 Phantom, there's 3 flights. So I can't really put markers on the card. It's just when it gets congested in here, it makes it easier, you can see. And John suggests you could put them on the flight log sheet, and I never thought about that. However, I had a little bit of initial sort of, first of all, I'm going to have to cover something up where I put them. I mean, there's not going to be loads and loads of markers. Another one is I'd need to leave them there when I was marking things off. But that's maybe a minor sort of, thing to that. Well, to be honest, the markers could go in there because these are all clean, so I could just put them under the ordnance part. But that's a pretty good idea. I might start doing that. So, like for Wolf Flight, just put his altitude marker and any other markers you got in that area there. In actual fact, if I was doing that, it might be better just doing them all in there, Yeah, good idea. I'll see. I mean, it's only when it gets really cluttered, but yeah, I could see myself maybe doing that. 26.5-minute mark. Well done remembering, not forgetting it was night. You're doing better than I did. Well, I might be doing better with that, but I replied, well, I'm still forgetting some of the simpler things. I mean, not so much some of the simpler things. What annoyed me in my bombing run was that I had just eventually grasped what John was telling me about AAA modifiers going into a bomb run, and I completely blanked them and threw them out the window and forgot all about it. However, we've caught it now, and hopefully we can get it right the next time. Yeah, and this is at the 28-minute 25-second mark. I hadn't thought about this at all. It's when I was moving, I want to say it was not Mechlin, I think it was Markov. It was up here. It was when I was moving him after was it after his BVR attempt? Yeah, it was. Because what it says there is, yeah, it was after the BVR. What it says here is, if successful, resolve attack. Now this all happened after attack or BVR engagement attempt unsuccessful. I think it was successful and they resolved the attack. But anyway, either or, it says then move 1 hex ahead and turn 90 degrees to the left or right, depending on the die roll. And then if movement points still remain, and move straight ahead. Well, what I did was, obviously I can't turn 90 degrees because the max turns 60 degrees. So I moved one ahead. I moved one hex ahead like that, and then I turned my 60 degrees, and then I had 3 or 4 movement points left, and I just moved straight ahead. And what John says there, he says I would have finished full 90-degree turn requested in the next movement point with a free turn. I hadn't really thought about that. He says, but that's a minor quibble. But yeah, I'll keep that in mind for the future. Because we had movement points left over and I'd only turned 60 degrees, I could have turned a free 30 more degrees within the next 2 or 3 movement points, and then been facing the way that it should have been. Too much gone by to change that, but like he says, it was a minor thing, but hopefully that will stick with me now as well. So thanks for that, John. And then his final point at 30-minute and 50-second mark. He's curious what others have done with Slam as far as targeting the 2K22s and the SE13. He says maybe I'll start a thread at the end of this playthrough. He's obviously not wanting to spoil things or give me too many hints, which I don't want. I don't want to be told the best way. Somebody's worked it out that the best way to do it is such and such. But yeah, that's quite interesting, because what is the best way to go about this? You could see at first I was coming through here, and then I thought, well, I think the main reason I was coming through here. Now remember, you start up there somewhere, so you've got to come down this way. You can't. I don't think you could really waste time coming away around. Well, you know what? No, I don't think you could. I think you've got to get into the action as quick as you can, because the turns will tick away. But maybe I don't. You could leave Mother sitting there, and hopefully your cat flights can deal with. To be honest, we've done well up here. We've got a disordered and an aborted. That's disordered. That's aborted up there. Not so good down here though, and I think some of these might get through to come up. We've already talked about. Did I not already talk about? If I hadn't realised at the end that Mother was going to be the next target for them, so that's not good. So I'm not sure you can. You could swing around and come around, but you can see you don't really need this one at all. And the only reason I had changed my mind about coming through here was thinking I don't really need to touch these at all. However, if I'm going to try and take the SAM, these are going to affect my attack on the SAM. And then I started thinking, well, why not just take our chances and take these 2 out? Because obviously if I go in that hex while everything's there, you're getting the SAM, you're getting the 2K22s, you're getting the Inherent as well. So that's too much to take. So disabling both of these though takes them out of the way. Then you're still going to get the SAM and the Inherent. So yeah, and if I go in, maybe if I decide let's take a chance with SAM at the last and we've got bomb points left, go in and have a bash at the SAM if we've got time to do that. The thing is, that attack on that's going to be brutal, because you're going to get the 2K22s, the SAM itself. Ooh, would you get some small arms from the SAM hex, and you'd also get the concentration from the airfield. So yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, so interesting to see what other people's thoughts might be on that. So maybe John will put a wee start a thread about that once this is done. Okay, that was his comments from part 5. That's all we've got from him so far. So let's say 6, 7 and 8 out there, so I'm sure he'll get around to that. Well, was it 6 or not? It was 7 that I made my blunder. So now I had a couple of comments from Hal from part 7, I think it was. Yeah, so a couple of comments from Hal. Comment from a new subscriber as well. Soul Mechanics, this is crazy, I want to play. Yeah, get it going then. Get it started. That's good. Right, so from Hal, at around the 40-minute mark, Yeah, his two comments here are pretty good. Pretty good. I'm glad he brought both these up, to be honest. Um, at around the 40-minute mark, when you move the Warsaw Pack Flight into the hex for the air-to-air combat, you turn the Warsaw Pack Flight 30 degrees. Rule 11.3 says that they retain their current orientation, which I interpret as orientation at the end of the last movement point. I don't believe that this particular instance has any material affecting the game you're playing. And yeah, I understand the rule and I understand how it all is. Let me just give you an example of what he's talking about here. So this was the situation, just obviously actual flights have moved by now. And it was a Warsaw Pact making the attack. So it had moved to here, this Warsaw Pact flight had moved to here. Now, I've had this situation before where I ended up not knowing what to do, so I'd finished on a free turn so that I could move directly into the hex. But this time I think I left it. I think the main reason I left it was for I had no max turn markers left, so I thought I don't want to end up in a turn. So I left him like that, and he obviously still in his forward arc. He's into air combat. The engagement succeeds, and when the engagement succeeds, we move into the hex. And what Hal's saying that we should keep our facing, and we should go like that. And I think he's right. However, the bit that bothered me was when I actually move. If I move straight ahead, I'm moving into the spine of the hex, and then I kind of what I decided was, well, because he's moving into the spine there, he's going to turn like that into the hex, you know, because of where we're coming from. So I might still have that right, but I think Hal probably is right, and it should have ended up like that. I think I mentioned this before and was looking for a bit of clarification on that, so maybe John could chime in on what he believes would be right there. It's maybe not a huge big deal, but it's always nice to know how these things should be done. So good one, Hal. That was and your other point as well. Yeah, his other comment was at the 1 hour and 1 minute mark. It says, concerning the speed modifier, I seem to remember a comment from John in an earlier video, I think in NSC4, that talked about using the speed that the flight was doing when it last moved. I remember him saying that the challenge is to remember what that was. And when he brought this up, I thought, yeah, that rings a bell as well. I remember John talking about something like that. And I think the fact it was like nothing that I needed to know at the time, sort of like just went out of my head completely. So I'm glad he's brought that back up. And like I replied to him, I says I did ask the question on BGG, and John come back replying with something similar to what he's just commented. And that's that speed there in the modifiers to find out. You've got to look back and check what your flight had been, what speed it had been when it moved, if it's already moved. So trying to remember that, well, the good thing for me, like I say, is it's all recorded, so I could go back and look at it. So I'll do that in future. Okay, so thanks for your couple of comments there, Hal. And that's us kind of up to date with everything. So let's right, where were we? Right, I can see. Yeah, kind of the last part. I'm remembering now, because of finding out that mistake. I reset things and thought, I had to look into the mistake at first and see if it was repairable, but I'm just going to have to say no now. It's not. I just need to let it go. Hopefully the results may have been something similar, but I'm never going to know without doing it all over again. Okay, so it's still the Warsaw Pact's turn, and they do have 2 initiatives. Now, hang on. Now we roll diamonds. Yeah, so it is going to be Markov Flight. I should have put that on the card, actually. It is still going to be Markov Flight to move first. And then our other flight is Klein, the MiG-21, which is the Sword Dog. There are 2 initiatives. We did eventually come to the conclusion that Markov is the first one to move. And then we also eventually decided that he was still going to go for Dodge, even though Dodge is the Sword. He's the only detected flight within 7 hexes of Markov. Vegas is undetected, so he can't go and look at him. So it is going to, and then this is when I found, because I said at first, oh, I think I'm going to have the same problem. I'm not going to get round to the back of them. Yeah, it is achievable. And that's when I spotted my mistake. So yeah, so Markov now, he's not got BVR, so we've been through all this. He is just going to move straight to air-to-air combat. His speed is 5. He could dash at 6. However, we know now what he's going to do is set his speed at 4 to enable 3 60-degree turns. And he's, because this is the only way of getting round to dodge. Well, at least I think it is. So 1 movement point into the air, 30 with a free 60-degree turn. Second movement point into there with a free 60-degree turn. Third movement point into there with a free 30 60-degree turn. And fourth movement point into there with a free 30 60-degree turn. Spent all his movement. He's adjacent. Dodge is detected. Yeah, it's all good. Let's get on with the combat then. So, well, I suppose Marcos at last got his attack on dodge, but this should have happened back in part 7 as well. But yeah, okay. You can't you can't do nothing about it, Grant. You've decided that you need to move on and just accept. I mean, I've explained where my mistake was, so that's the best I can do. It's not that I'm just leaving the mistake there in the playthrough and not saying anything about it. I noted that, and yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so into some more standard air combat. Right, just checking the engagement requirements. Defender detected, not start with friendly flight. Defender 1 hex. Oh yeah, yes, that was the other thing. Sorry, and he would have. Hang on. I had these markers on his card. He had started with a max turn marker, but remember he moved straight ahead to start with, so that would have came off. Oh, in fact, no, he ends with that as well, doesn't he? Because he turns at the end, so he's still got that on him. However, he needs to drop to low altitude because that's where dodge is. That's needing another marker. So at some point in that procedure, he would have dropped to low. So, and this is also worrying for the fact that we're now going to scatter dodge again after this. Well, I suppose unless the engagement doesn't go ahead, which is possible because night rules, remember. Anyway, so he's at the same altitude. He's within 1 hex, or he could be 1 altitude below. Okay, yeah, no, but the bot rules want him to turn. Want him to adjust his altitude. Move to enter enemy flight hex at same altitude if able from rear hemisphere. Well, he didn't have the movement points to enter the hex. Again, I don't see the urgency to actually move into the hex as long as you're adjacent. I feel like they must be missing something there, but John's never. I don't think he's ever commented on any of that, so it's just probably not a big deal. Well, certainly if I was getting something majorly wrong with that, I dare say I would have been told. But okay, if not in the same hex, attacker's defender in forward arc. He does. He has an undepleted weapon. He actually only has his infrared missiles. That comes into it for line of sight, but yeah, there's no line of sight. Oh, how does night come into line of sight? Actually, I don't think we did get any issues with night line of sight. Maybe I should just look up the night line of sight rules though. Hang on. Not that there's anything says about it here, but my guess is it's going to be somewhere in the manoeuvre part, I think. Yeah, I don't think night does come into it. Line of sight, this is on. I dropped the dice. This is on page 40, 22.1 line of sight. There's 3 conditions. One or more hexes of dense cloud lie along the line and the cloud layer is between the unit and the target's altitude. B, any of the intervening hexes contain a broken cloud layer or mist. and the range is greater than 2 hexes, and then C, both units are on the deck and the line passes through any portion of a mountain hex. And yeah, that's it. So night I don't think comes into it. It does actually, what I did look up there was it referred me to engagement attempt on one of the engagement roll, something I hadn't noticed. If a flight is no line of sight to the target, use night values for the engagement roll for standard air-to-air. So something to keep in mind. I think you could forget that. But like I've said, it's only when clouds come into it or mist. Well, clouds are part of the weather, aren't they? Weather, clouds, haze and mist. Any of that happens. Or both units are on the deck and the line passes through any portion of a mountain hex. Well, I'm not sure. Well, you can't have that because you've got to be adjacent, haven't you? So yeah, you couldn't have that. Yeah. Okay, Grant. There's no issues with line of sight. Right. So all the engagement requirement. Everything's good. Attacker not disordered. That's correct. The defender is disordered. Now this is a case where if it was the bot would disengage. So is this something we want to consider? Well, hang on. We've got to go through the engagement process first because it might not even happen. And I think before we roll for maneuver, we can decide then. Yeah, okay. So he's the attacker, so we're going to roll for him first. And remember, we're on the night. Oh yeah, it's got no line of sight there, look. Night, no line of sight. Okay. It was there after all then. Right, okay, so checking for him first. Needs a 14. Modifiers. We're looking at them all, remember. What's this? Markov against dodge. Okay, so Markov has it. Ooh, he's got a +2. Right, so a +2, no difference in altitude band. Flight is disorder, well, we're going to get that. No. Right, none of the rest applies. So he's got a +2 and needs a 14. So we're kind of hoping he fails this because then we can just get out of there and forget about it, I think. So with a +2. Oh, that's a 6. So it's 11. Oh, just short. 11 +2 is 13. He's one short. Well, I'll roll on it, but I don't think I want to be involved in this, really. He's got 4. But remember, again, doctrine, Soviet doctrine, which I have missed twice, by the way. I've had to make another note again on part 7. I did miss it. I missed it again. Fortunately, both times I missed it, it's not mattered, so I've got lucky there. But I need to watch that one. Another one of these ones easy to miss, but I still kind of thought I was on top of that, but there you go. Right, what are we getting then? So, who's this again? Dodge. Dodge is, he's got a -1 for his aggression. He's disordered, so he's got an R-1, and the target is in the rear hemisphere, he's got an R-1, so he's got a -3 to this anyway. So we need to be pretty high. Oh, double 1 again. I'm good at that one, okay, so it's a no and a no, so it's not going to happen. That's fine, we just we just stop there. I'm starting to think about morale and that again, but no, we stop there, Grant. We stop there. That's all we do. It's just not going to happen. So I think that was kind of good for us. I don't think I would have been wanting to take that on, because remember, when we are disordered, we're only getting one of our aircraft so we're only looking in the one column to fight, which is a blunder made from the last scenario. So I think that's maybe why you consider trying to disengage and get out of there, not worry about taking shots anyway, and give that extra -2 modifier to them. You can see that now, that's why, yeah. Okay, so that was one of their initiatives. Oops. Oh, I've just knocked the map, knocked the plexi there. I think that's okay. Yeah, okay. So looking at the things, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so his second flight, it was a diamond roll. So second flight is going to be Klein up there, who is disordered. So we'll just have a glance at what he's going to do on the card. I'll just hold this up in front, I think. So, well, what's he got? He's got a manoeuvre marker and he's got a disorder marker. He's at low altitude. So the manoeuvre marker is the one that comes first. So he's going to set combat throttle and spend half of his movement points to remove the manoeuvre marker. Right, so we'll do that first, but we've got to come back to the fact that he's disordered and see what his instructions are there. So combat throttle for him at low altitude is only a 3. Well, to be honest, that doesn't matter because he's going to lose half of it, isn't he? Yeah, because half's round. No, is that worse? Right, it loses half rounded. Oh, I'm forgetting now. Flight begins. Must expend half of its movement points rounded up. So if he's at 3, which, well, he is, Grant, so there's no getting around that. So half of 3 is 1.5, rounded up to 2. So yeah, he does lose out there, and he's only left with 1 movement point to remove that manoeuvre marker. Whereas if he had the speed at 4, he would have had 2 movement points, but, well, he didn't, so he's not. Right, so there's only 1 movement point left, so there's probably not enough of what he can do. But let's see what his goal is. If not adjacent to orbit, rally point, dash throttle, well, he can't do that. Climb on altitude band, well, he could do that. Yeah, I want to say we just climb him on altitude band with that movement point. Now, we could also make a turn. So he's wanting to, and reading on there, it's closest possible to nearest orbit rally point or friendly airfield. So I think we concluded that this is maybe, what is it? Mulhausen. You've got Hena there and an orbit point there. Well, this looks closer, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 10x's away. This is 11 away and this is 13 away. So Mulhausen is where he's wanting to head. So he's got 1 movement point. So all I'm going to do is climb him to medium altitude. And with that climb, do a free 30-degree turn. I suppose that means he's finishing on a max turn, but yeah, it's no biggie. And that was his 1 movement point. Oops. Silly Grant. Okay, so that's him. Okay, that's their initiative over. That goes back in the cup, and we'll shuffle up and get a next initiative for NATO flight, NATO side. 4 in the large. So yeah, 2 in the small. So 2 for us. So what are we going to do here? Right, well, what do we want to do? First, well, I don't think there's any rush to do the bomb and run. Our problems are down here now, because Dodge is out of the game now, he's disordered. So yeah, I mean, when I get the chance, I'm going to try and head him towards rally points. should I possibly? I don't think he's going to get very far the first turn because he's got a manoeuvre marker on him as well. Now Vegas could get involved in the action. He's got 3 targets round about him: Mechlin, Wolf, and Markov. Vegas does have BVR. He's not going to. I don't think he's going to get in the front of any of them though. But I think we probably want to stick with BVR just now because we just don't want the risk of any more disorder. I think. Other options are Cobra's up here now. No Cobra, sorry, Chevy. Well, he's not caring about that. I'm not going to try and chase that down. To be honest, that's got it's got 2 aircraft shot down anyway. So we've got 4 points from that. In fact, we've got 6 points from that because both the pilots were killed as well. So we've got 6 points for that. There's no point chasing that down. This is disordered, so I don't think I'm going to. I think I really want to try and bring that flight down here to help because I think there's more trouble down here. But again, he's got a manoeuvre marker, so he's not going to get very far. And then a bombing flight. Well, I don't think there's a rush to move that early in the turn, so I think probably best is Vegas to try and do something to one of these, and then do something with Chevy. Whether he has a go at this guy, maybe. Has he got BVR? Yeah, what's one? It's only Dodge that's lost its BVR, and he's disordered now, like we said, so there's no real issue to that. Right, so I think Vegas is one of our initiative calls. So let's move him. So at medium altitude, yeah, and here's the other thing. Both Markov and Wolf are at low altitude. So, and we don't want to go down there. We also don't want to be down. And the other thing is, yeah, we don't want to be scattering as well. That's the other reason to stay out of air to air. Because, yeah, I mean, I know a die roll puts you down an altitude band, and you know, if I was to air either one of them at low altitude, then that's dropping me even further down to deck. So we kind of don't want that. What was I wanting to check? Can we BVR from medium? No, we can't, can we? Because we've no look down. Yeah, talked about this already as well. I'm pretty sure that's one of the requirements, isn't it? BVR, look down must not apply. Well, there you go. So that's out as well. So if I am going to BVR anybody, it's got to be Mechlin. So, I've got a max turn marker on it. Damn. So I've got to go straight to start with. So it looks like that's BVR. Remember, the range from the beam's 2, the range from the rear's 1. Okay, let's see if we set. I think, no, there again, it's either speed 4 or 5. Well, there we go though. We've already said that speed 4 can be more important sometimes to get the turns, get the free turns rather than spent turns. Okay, let me have a wee think here. Right, I think the best I can achieve for Mechlin is getting in his beam, his rear beam. So that's where I was. I think that's where I'm going to achieve. And, well, I'll show you. Obviously, we've got max turn. We're at medium altitude. We don't need to change our altitude. Again, we need to set our speed at 4, though. So... yeah, it'd be 4, or we could dash at 5. Yeah, we're setting it at 4. And, again, to get these free turns, so... So 1, I've got to move straight ahead to start with. 3, 30, 60 degree turn. 2, now at first I went up this side. Well, let's see. 30, 60 degree. Nah, hang on. Move that along a bit. Right, he's on the spine facing that way. Right, I'm going to do that again. 1, 330, 60 degree turn. 2, 330, 60 degree turn. 3. Now, it might just be the same there. You know what? I think it's clearer the other side for me. That's the way I looked at it. So change that about. So 1, 3, 30, 60 degree turn. 2 movement, 3 movement. Yeah, 3 movement and then no. Is it 4, 330? No. Yeah, I think that's how I ended up with it. And yeah, and my conclusion there is that we're the attacker. So we decide that he's in this hex. However, hang on. If we decide that he's in that hex, we're then not going to be in his beam, are we? Or are we? He's going to be in that hex. Well, yeah, no, we can still say that. Because we're going to be, if we can see he's in that hex rather than that hex, obviously, because we need to be adjacent. And then that would still be in his rear beam. Well, it'd be directly halfway through it, and we can decide again to be in the beam rather than the rear arc, because it's worse for us being in the rear arc, I think. And sorry, this is for BVR. I'm talking. That's right, though. It is worse. If we were going into standard area, I'd want to be in the rear arc. That's right. Yeah. No, I'm looking at the wrong chart. Where are we? Just check BVR. I'm just going to look for the modifiers. Right, sorry, been on pause here for quite a bit. Right in the middle of something as well, wasn't I? Right, well, I think I takes that move round. And I think, like I've said, I could consider myself being in his rear arc or his beam arc. So I choose to be in his rear beam, rather than his rear arc. Because what I do is, I can either say he's in that hex or that hex. I say he's in that hex, and then also say that we are on that side on the beam side. But I think that works. I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah, I was checking the modifiers and, right enough for BVR. Obviously, if you get in the forward arc, you get that +2, but if you're attacking from the rear, it's a -2. However, if it's a beam, it's a -1. So, yeah, I can't get right in the front. So I think I'm going to take that one. That was my full 4 movement, wasn't it? Yeah, and because I'm in the beam, my range is 2. Oh, stop, Grant. Forgetting. Oh, actually, no, I might get away with this. This dodge is within 3. Well, an actual. That's me. Right. Dodge is within 3, however. Attacker and defender's rear arc, no shots of friendly flight. Nah. That means I need to consider myself in the rear arc then. Yeah. Oh well. Well, I could, like I say, consider either. So I'm going to have to say we're in a rear arc, because the rules of engagement, BVR, if the attacker is in the defender's forward arc or forward/rear beams, which I'd like to be in the rear beam, then no shot of friendly flight within 3 hexes of target. Well, dodge is within 3 hexes of target. However, if I consider myself to be in the defender's rear arc, no shots of friendly flight within 1 hex of the target. Well, he's 2 away. So, okay, so I'm going to have to do it that way and take the extra minus modifier if I want to go down this road. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, okay. So, this is Mechlin, isn't it? Yeah, he's the one that's got a damaged aircraft as well. So that's fine. So he's at medium altitude. That's us. We're at medium altitude. So I'm going to have moved round to there. We dropped that max turn marker. That was just to show us how to go about that. So I think that's right. And we consider ourselves in his. We have to consider ourselves in his rear arc. So what I do is I say that he's in this hex and that we are in his rear arc rather than his rear beam to be able to get the engagement. Yeah. To not break the rules of engagement. Okay, yeah, let's just go for that. I'm going to have to get moving on with some other things, so if I get this part finished though. So yeah, so just checking again, so defender is detected. Is in range of an undepleted BVR weapon. Now we're in his rear arc now, so our range is 1, but that's fine. Infrared BVR weapon has line of sight. Oh no, sorry, it's him that's got the infrared missile. Why was I looking at that? Oh yeah, it was the previous move, Markov, that's right. BVR rules of engagement must allow the engagement, like I've just said. We've checked that and we're going to say we're in his rear arc, so that dodge is fine. And look down must not apply. Well, we're both at medium altitude, so no issues there. Attackers, defender and forward arc, yeah, all good. So this is just me that checks here. So again, because it's BVR, we've got this 9 roll. That's the other reason I thought to go for it, because it is a bit easier to achieve this. Again, I had no movement points left to be able to... No, because I have to get up adjacent, don't I? Because we've not got long range BVR. Unless we were coming from the front, we might have been able to do that, but we weren't. So the 2 modifiers are aggression value and different altitude band. Well, it's not a different altitude band, and Vegas he does have a +2 aggression value. So okay, so a +2, we need a 9 for this to happen with a +2. Oh dear. That's just not what I wanted, to spend all that time and come around and then fail the engagement. Right, well. Right, well that was a waste of time. Right. So that's Vegas flight moved. There's no movement points left, so... So now we've got one more flight of ours to move. Again, not really fussed about the bomber on Mother, so it's either going to be dodge, try to get him starting to move out of this carry on, or we do something with Chevy. Just wondering, can Chevy maybe have a go at this guy? Klein. No, I've got a manoeuvre marker on me. Chevy has no issues with anything, so they can BVR. However, yeah, I'm at low altitude as well, and I've got a manoeuvre marker on me. So, well, my speed is either going to be 3 unless I dash at 5. I dash at 5, I can set my speed at 4, can't I? But then the manoeuvre marker's still going to take 2 of it away. But I'd be as well setting it at 4 rather than 5. You know what I'm saying there is the manoeuvre marker's going to take half my movement points. I'm at low. So if I stay at combat thrall, I'm going a speed of 3, half of that rounded down is going to give me a speed of 1. Well, sorry, you round up the half. So I expend 1.5 rounded up. So I expend 2 and leave myself with 1. And if we'd done it with a 5, if we dash at 5, same thing's going to happen. We're going to end up with 2. Wherever if I set my speed at 4, I'm still going to end up with 2, but my speed's going to be at 4, and I'm going to have that free 60-degree turn. So I think it makes sense. Whether I can still do anything or not, I don't know. So he's facing that way. So if I did do that, yeah, I need to climb an altitude band though. Maybe if I climbed an altitude band and free turned 60 degrees, facing that way, and then moved in there and done a free turn at 60 degrees. No, that's not any good, is it? No, it's not. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get anything on him anyway, am I? No. Not with what I've got, it just doesn't work. So I think I'm better just turning to face down this way maybe. So well, I think I'll still do that. I think I'll still set dash. And so yeah, I'll set my speed at 4. And then I'll spend 2 to remove that. So I've got 2 left. And well, yeah. Right, so I'm gonna spend my first movement point climbing at medium altitude, which is gonna trigger an infrared, and I'm gonna also free turn 60 degrees with that. So I'm gonna do that turn now, and that leaves me with 1 movement point. Yeah, because I don't fear moving in front of him anyway. It's not a big issue. Right, but with my movement point spent at low altitude, I'm going to take an inherent AAA attack. I don't really need to look at that, Grant. Just need to inherent 2K22 attack because I was at a low altitude and I spent a movement point. Now, although John says that when moving from low to medium you're in the same hex, that would happen if that's a different. Yeah, no, don't go there, Grant. Yeah, let's just forget that. Right. So I was at low altitude and I spent a movement point, so it will trigger that inherent attack, which I will only get once per movement phase. So I'm at medium altitude now, so I'll be fine. So we're rolling on this table and we get they would hit us on a 13. So hope that doesn't happen. Oh, 12. Oof. So close. If we'd been at deck, that would have hit. Right, so got away with that. Good. So 1 movement point left. Yeah, I'm just going to, and I'm at medium altitude now. I'm going to go in there 1 and then do a free 60-degree turn. So I'm facing south. I'm at medium. And I've dashed. That max turn is for him, yeah. Okay, and that was the last movement point. Now, hang on, I finished on a turn as well, didn't I? So, yeah, I've got max turn as well. yeah, nothing terribly exciting there. But I think we want to start moving him down to the rest of the, and just probably ignore that disordered flight unless my next turn I've got a sort of free sort of look at him. And well, in actual fact, if we get to activate first before them, then I might take a BVR shot from the front maybe, and then if I don't engage or something for any reason, then I'll just move right through after that. Just head south. I think that probably makes sense, and just forget about it after that. Okay, so that's my initiative over. It will be Warsaw Pact's initiative next turn, but I'll just take a cut there, I think. That's 55 minutes. Yeah, a bit of comments at the beginning, so again, not an awful lot done, but well, you get used to it. You'll have got used to it now. That's the way I do it. Right, I think all's good there. Just wonder if any of the other flights had dashed. I've only put that one dash marker. I don't think we did though, did we? I think they all moved. Yeah, after finding out that movement at 4 is quite important at the night time. Okay, I'll got other things I need to do now, but I should get another part in later, and maybe even a couple if I get the chance. But better go and do some other stuff just now. So I'll be back later. Okay, cheers.